over the weekend, former President Barack Obama discovered complexity and ambiguity where there is none in these attacks. He said that we, quote, have to admit nobody's hands are clean, that all of us are complicit to some degree, end quote. What Barack Obama said over the weekend might pass for profound at cocktail parties on Martha's Vineyard or on podcasts with sycophantic former staffers, but is also delusional and morally obtuse. Put simply, it's a confession of a guilty man attempting to implicate others. Because we're not all complicit with Hamas's massacre of Jews, but Barack Obama sure is. No American president did more to embolden and enrich Iran and its terrorist proxies than Barack Obama. Indeed, his entire Middle East policy was crafted to appease Iran. As president, he stayed quiet when Iranian protesters took to the streets in the Green Revolution. He sabotaged legislation in Congress sanctioning Iran. He cut and ran from Iraq, knowing that Iran and its proxies would fill the power vacuum. He refused to enforce a self-drawn red line and stood by as Syria disintegrated into a geopolitical Chernobyl because Bashar al-Assad is an Iranian puppet. He consistently undermined Benjamin Netanyahu, Iran's chief nemesis in the region, and even refused to veto a United Nations Security Council resolution condemning Israel. And of course, he negotiated the disastrous Iran nuclear deal, handing the Ayatollahs over $100 billion in sanctions relief. Barack Obama single-handedly saved the Iranian economy and harmed diplomatic relations with our allies in Saudi Arabia and Israel. When he left office, the Middle East was in flames and Iran was on the march. Tragically, Barack Obama's coterie of Iran appeasers, apologists, and accomplices have returned to the White House. His understudy, Joe Biden, is now president. The man who helped to secretly negotiate the Iran nuclear deal, Jake Sullivan, is now National Security Advisor. And his Treasury Secretary, who served as a de facto investment banker for the Ayatollahs, is now ambassador to Israel. Barack Obama's legacy is alive and well in this administration, and it certainly shows. Within days of taking office, the Biden administration removed the Houthis, another Iranian proxy, from the list of terrorist organizations without any concessions. And how did the Houthis reward Joe Biden? By firing dozens of missiles and attack drones towards Israel just days after Hamas's rampage. In his first 100 days, the Biden administration announced that it would send hundreds of millions of dollars to Iran's friends in Gaza, Judea, and Samaria. They claimed that it would foster peace and stability in the region. How did that work out? The next month, Iranian-backed militias launched 4,000 rockets into Israel. Since taking office, Joe Biden has enriched the Ayatollahs with over $90 billion through his lax enforcement of oil sanctions and his unfreezing of Iranian assets. Tehran has predictably used this Biden bonus to strengthen its military and arm its proxies. Just last year, Iran doubled the budget of the Revolutionary Guard Corps, the shock troops of its terror regime, and it more than tripled its support for Hamas's military brigades. The very same month that Biden agreed to unfreeze $6 billion in Iranian assets, the Revolutionary Guard Corps reportedly started to assist with the planning of the October 7th attacks that killed, I say again, over 30 Americans and more than 1,400 Israelis. This is the nature of the regime that Barack Obama coddled for years. It is the nature of the regime that has dispatched its proxies to attack American service members over 110 times since Joe Biden took office. Let me say that again, Iran's proxies have attacked American troops and positions in the Middle East over 110 times since Joe Biden took office. And what has Joe Biden and his gang of Obama acolytes done in return? They fired a few missiles at empty proxy warehouses, merely validating Iran's proxy strategy. The Ayatollahs are laughing at Joe Biden just like they laughed at Barack Obama. Barack Obama is the last person who should pontificate on this issue. The only thing we should hear from him is an admission that he was wrong and an apology. Maybe he can include it in his upcoming fourth memoir due out later this year. My message to the former president is simple. Don't try to excuse your own failures by blaming the rest of us. The people complicit in the attack on Israel are the terrorists who committed it, the Iranian regime that funded it, and the Obama and Biden administrations that appeased them. The responsibility for the events of October 7th rests squarely on their shoulders and their shoulders alone. I yield the floor.